Okay, so today we're going to look at a little bit of slab making. So I'm out here in the wedging table in ceramics, but you can use there's one in sculpture now, concrete table like this. And we're gonna throw slabs out on this surface. So to do that, let's start off by wedging this clay. It's gonna take these two logs, mash them together. We're looking at about 6 pounds of clay right here. And I'm just gonna sort of, with both of my hands, it's gonna be a little irregular at first while I'm working these together, but once it starts mixing together, it's gonna do better. So I'm gonna push down with my right hand, lift up with my left hand, kind of creating this sort of spiral. So lift with my left, push down with my right, and I can kind of rock my body into it. Because again, I want to be careful that even though I'm pushing with my right hand, can you see how my wrist here is staying, or my hand staying parallel with my wrist? I don't want to go perpendicular like this. This is going to put a lot of stress on this tendon here and hurt your arm really bad. So I want to make sure that I'm staying kind of just one long arm as I push this down. I'm just kind of going to rock this clay together a few times. So you can't really see it as much right now, but my whole body's kind of swaying with this. So that, again, the strength of this isn't in my hands, it isn't in my wrist. It's all my body kind of pushing my arms as tools. So that's all. So eventually we're gonna get this sort of conical shape. And so we're making a slab, which is gonna be kind of essentially like a sheet of clay. We want it to be almost like this board, flat, even. And so to start that, I'm just gonna take this on the surface and then just sort of wobble it around so that it flattens out. Do that on both sides. And then a lot of times people will try and, slam the clay down really hard to flatten it out. That doesn't really do anything, it just compacts things. Usually we do like to compact the clay, but this is one of those times where that's not gonna help. So we wanna do actually, stretch the clay. And so to do that, I can't throw it up in the air like a pizza pie or anything. I need to kind of fling it across the table. So instead of smacking it down as hard and as loud as I can, I'm going to gently toss it at an angle on the table so that as it hits the table, it sticks, but the momentum takes the clay on top and stretches it. You can see it getting flatter, and I'm just spinning it or rotating the clay every time so that I don't stretch it the same direction. So I want to stretch evenly. Okay, Trey. So there we go, we have a nice big slab. So this is my next stage, because right now it's fairly even. I just want to make sure that's really nice and even. So I'm going to grab a rolling pin and just very gently roll this over the surface in a couple different directions. I'm not worried about stretching the clay at this point, it's just more evening it out. So I don't need to use a whole lot of pressure for this. And then I'm just gonna come in with a rib and smooth and compress everything really well. And again, compressing in multiple directions, all directions, to really get a nice sort of cross-hatching to all the particles. I'm gonna flip it and do it to the back side. And so you might find that your edges, are irregular. They might be a little thinner. You want about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch in thickness. If they're too thin, they're gonna warp as they dry. If they're too thick, they're probably gonna crack, or your piece is just gonna be way heavier than it needs to be. So after you've read the project sheet, you'll note that, essentially, we're each gonna be making a 6-inch cube, even sides, and then modifying it from there. But we're gonna start initially with that 6-inch cube. And so to think about that, so I need to think how big this is. So right now I'm at 14 inches by almost 15 inches. So I could get a few of these cubes out of here, or a few of the sides out of here, I should say. Let me see if I can find a template. All right, so I have a template that I'm gonna use that's 6x6 for, so I cut these all out evenly. It looks like I'm able to get 3, maybe 4 out of this slab. But as I do this, so I can just trace the outline of these. I can think about this a couple of different ways. I could leave this entire slab to dry and then cut all these pieces out once the slab gets to leather hard. Or I can cut these out larger than they need to be and let them dry individually, which is probably the best solution. But when I cut these out, I'm not going to cut them out on their lines yet, because the clay is too soft. I won't be able to get a good cut. As you can see the way it bends with the cut. And I'm going to transfer these onto a board. But before I put them onto the board, I'm going to put a single layer of newspaper down so that it doesn't stick to the board. And then I can fold that over. Before putting the next one down, I want to be really sure to make sure that this sits right on top of the other one and not lay on the edge. Because again, I want to make sure that these remain flat and even. And then cover the top layer. So that was 3. I need to make 3 more. It's the evening right now, and I'm going to leave these uncovered just in newspaper until tomorrow when I come in to make a recording of how to attach these. So like this, they'll probably keep okay overnight. Wouldn't want to do much longer. So we'll see what happens then.